In the high-stakes arena of American politics, does the might of a strong personality overshadow the nuances of policy and diplomacy? From the charismatic appeal of John F. Kennedy to the assertive boldness of Theodore Roosevelt, and the modern-day fervor surrounding figures like Donald Trump, the American electorate's fascination with strong, decisive leaders is a tale as old as the Republic itself. But what does this preference really mean, and how has it shaped the political landscape of the United States? Today, we're diving deep into the American psyche, elections, and the undeniable allure of strong men in the Oval Office. We'll explore the historical context, dissect recent trends, and uncover the psychological underpinnings behind America's choice of leaders. We'll ask the tough questions and seek answers from history, experts, and the very fabric of American society. We are Geoland, and in this episode, we uncover the complex narrative of strength, leadership, and democracy in American elections. Join us if you like this content, leave a like, comment your opinion, and subscribe to the channel, as we find out if the United States really prefers its leaders to be men of courage and strength. Stay with us as we embark on this journey of discovery and debate, right here, right now.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
The legacy of strong leadership in America. To understand the present, we must first look to the past. The United States, a nation born from revolution and a desire for self-governance, has always been shaped by the character and decisions of its leaders. From the unwavering resolve of George Washington to the bold vision of Abraham Lincoln, the early architects of American democracy were men of substantial fortitude. Their strength wasn't just physical but moral and intellectual, setting a precedent for what Americans would seek in their leaders for centuries to come. As the nation faced new challenges, be it civil war, economic depression, or world wars, the American people often turned to leaders who projected confidence and strength. Franklin D. Roosevelt's fireside chats and John F. Kennedy's charismatic appeal exemplify how strong leadership became synonymous with hope and direction during turbulent times. But it's not just about the crisis they faced. It's about how these men communicated their vision, confronted their adversaries, and made tough decisions. Their legacies are not just in what they did, but in how they led. Consider Theodore Roosevelt's speak softly and carry a big stick policy, or Harry Truman's decisive action to end World War II. These were moments where the strength of the president shaped the course of history, for better or worse. The American presidency is unique in its combination of immense power and immense responsibility. Historically, those who've occupied the Oval Office have been men who could bear that weight, making decisions that would intimidate most. This has undoubtedly influenced the American archetype of a strong leader. But history is more than a series of decisions made by men in high office. It's a reflection of the people's will, their fears, and their aspirations. As we've seen, the preference for strong leaders is not just a political phenomenon. It's woven into the very fabric of American identity. So, as we turn our gaze to the present and future, we must ask ourselves, are we selecting leaders based on the challenges of the times, or are we drawn to an archetype etched into our national consciousness? And what does this mean for the leaders of tomorrow? Modern leadership and the American psyche. As we move from the historical to the present, the silhouette of the strong leader remains, but the stage and players have dramatically changed. Today, we're exploring how recent trends in American elections reflect the enduring preference for strong leadership, and what new dimensions this preference has taken on. In the past few decades, the American political landscape has been dominated by figures who project strength, decisiveness, and an unyielding resolve. But the definition of strength has evolved, influenced by changing societal values, global challenges, and the ever-present eye of the media. Consider the post-9/11 era, where national security took center stage. Leaders like George W. Bush were lauded for their tough stance on terrorism. Fast forward, and you see Barack Obama's strength in his calm, yet firm approach to leadership and crisis management. More recently, the 2016 and 2020 elections have showcased a stark contrast in what Americans perceive as strong leadership. From Donald Trump's assertive and often confrontational style to Joe Biden's emphasis on unity and resilience, voters were presented with very different visions of strength. What we're seeing is a diversification in the type of strength voters are responding to. It's no longer just about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about the ability to navigate complex issues, unite diverse groups, and maintain stability in an increasingly volatile world. And let's not underestimate the role of media and technology. Social media, 24/7 news cycles, and the internet have transformed how leaders project strength and how voters perceive it. This transformation is not just about the leaders themselves, but about the electorate. As America becomes more diverse, so too the qualities it seeks in its leaders. Strength is now multifaceted. encompassing not just force of will but also empathy, intelligence, and the ability to inspire. But with these changes come new challenges. The same platforms that allow leaders to project their strength also scrutinize their every move, making the modern arena of politics a relentless battle for public approval and a test of true resilience. As we continue to navigate these complex times, the question remains: how will the American preference for strong leaders evolve, and what impact will this have on the future of the nation and its place in the world? Only time and the will of the people will tell. Dissecting leadership in the modern era. While we discuss the historical context and recent trends, let's zoom in further and examine specific case studies. These are leaders who, for better or worse, have embodied the American preference for strength and decisiveness. Through their stories, we'll gain a clearer understanding of what this preference really looks like in action. Our first case study is a figure who needs no introduction: Donald Trump. Known for his assertive rhetoric and unapologetic style, he represents a version of strength that resonated with millions of Americans. What made him so compelling to many was his ability to project certainty and dominance. Whether you agreed with his policies or not, his style was undeniably forceful. But this type of strength also had its critics. Accusations of divisiveness and aggression sparked nationwide debates about the nature of leadership and the direction of American politics. Contrast that with Barack Obama. Here we see a different kind of strength, one characterized by calm, collected resolve and an ability to inspire through words and presence. In times of crisis, Name's approach was to offer reassurance through steadiness and intellect. This too is a form of strength, and it's one that appealed to a broad swath of the electorate. Yet, even this more measured approach faced scrutiny. Critics argued that it sometimes bordered on passivity, highlighting the fine line leaders must walk between strength and restraint. Now let's consider an outsider, someone like Bernie Sanders. Not a president, but a figure whose influence and approach to leadership offer valuable insights. Here's someone who drew strength from conviction and consistency. His appeal lay in his unwavering commitment to his ideals, representing a strength of character that inspired a movement. Each of these case studies reflects a different facet of strength, from the forceful to the intellectual, the assertive to the steadfast. They illustrate the diverse ways in which Americans have responded to leadership. These leaders, with their distinct styles and impacts, demonstrate the complexity of American preferences. Strength, it seems, is in the eye of the beholder. As we look to the future, these case studies serve as a reminder of the varied forms strength can take and the profound influence it holds over the course of history and the fate of a nation. Global views on leadership. While the American preference for strong leaders is well documented, it's not a phenomenon unique to the United States. Around the world, nations and cultures have their own interpretations of what makes a leader strong. Let's take our analysis global and see how American preferences compare to those in other countries. First, let's look at authoritarian regimes, where the cult of personality often elevates leaders to almost mythical status. Countries like Russia, North Korea, and historically, places like Iraq under Saddam Hussein show how the desire for strong leadership can manifest in extreme forms. In these countries, strength is often synonymous with control and fear. The leader's image is carefully crafted to project invincibility and absolute authority. But this type of strength comes at a cost: the suppression of dissent and the erosion of democratic freedoms. It's a stark contrast to the American ideal of strength balanced with liberty. Now, let's turn to parliamentary democracies and coalition governments, common in many European countries. Here, strength is often seen in the ability to negotiate, compromise, and build consensus. In places like Germany, the UK, and Scandinavia, strong leaders are those who can effectively navigate the complexities of multi-party systems and maintain stability through collaboration. This approach reflects a different kind of strength, one that values diplomacy and teamwork over unilateral decision-making. Emerging democracies often provide the most compelling stories of leadership. In countries transitioning from authoritarian rule or facing significant social challenges, leaders are often seen as symbols of change and hope. In these contexts, strength is about vision and the ability to inspire a nation towards a better future. It's less about the force of personality and more about the power of ideas. These leaders often face the immense task of rebuilding trust in government and fostering a sense of national unity, a different kind of strength that's no less significant. From the iron-fisted to the collaborative, the visionary to the authoritative, the concept of strong leadership takes many forms around the world. As Americans, understanding these global perspectives can broaden our own views and challenge us to think more deeply about the qualities we value in our leaders. Psychological underpinnings, the mind behind the vote. Beyond history and culture, the preference for strong leaders is deeply rooted in the human psyche. To truly understand why Americans, and indeed people worldwide, might prefer strong leaders, we must delve into the psychological underpinnings of this phenomenon, what drives us to seek out certain qualities in those we choose to lead us. From an evolutionary perspective, humans have always been drawn to leaders who can provide security and stability. In ancient times, this meant physical protection and resource acquisition. Today, while the threats may have changed, the psychological impulse remains. Our ancestors who rally behind strong leaders were more likely to survive and pass on their genes. This instinctual drive towards strong leadership is deeply embedded in our collective unconscious. This evolutionary legacy influences how we perceive modern leaders, often valuing decisiveness, confidence, and the ability to project strength in times of crisis. Social and cognitive psychology offer additional insights. Humans are inherently social beings, and our perceptions of leaders are heavily influenced by group dynamics, social norms, and cognitive biases. The bandwagon effect, authority bias, and the need for cognitive closure can all lead people to favor strong, assertive leaders. These psychological mechanisms often operate subconsciously, guiding our political preferences without us even realizing it. Moreover, in times of uncertainty or fear, people tend to desire leaders who exhibit clear, decisive action, a psychological response aimed at reducing anxiety and restoring a sense of control. Our emotions and personal identities also play a crucial role. Leaders who can tap into our hopes, fears, and values can mobilize support in powerful ways. Emotions like fear, pride, and anger can be potent motivators. Strong leaders who evoke these emotions, for better or worse, often leave a lasting impression and can sway public opinion significantly. Additionally, the way we see ourselves and our place in society influences the leaders we resonate with. A leader's strength may affirm our own identity and values, creating a deep psychological bond. Understanding these psychological underpinnings is crucial not just for voters but for leaders themselves. By knowing what drives people to seek certain qualities in their leaders, we can better understand the choices we make and the future we're shaping through those choices. Weighing the impact of strong leadership. While the preference for strong leaders is deeply rooted and widespread, it's not without its complexities and controversies. In this segment, we'll critically analyze this preference, exploring both its merits and its pitfalls, and what it means for the future of democratic governance and society at large. Let's start with the potential benefits. In times of crisis or uncertainty, strong leaders can provide much-needed direction and confidence. Their decisiveness can cut through bureaucracy and enact change quickly, potentially averting disaster or seizing crucial opportunities. History shows us that during critical moments, strong leaders have been able to rally nations, push through vital reforms, and steer their countries through perilous times. Moreover, strong leaders can inspire and unite people, creating a sense of national identity and purpose. Their vision and charisma can be powerful forces for mobilization and progress. However, the preference for strong leadership is not without significant risks. The concentration of power in a single individual can lead to authoritarianism, eroding democratic institutions, and suppressing dissent. When checks and balances are weakened in favor of decisive action, it can create a slippery slope towards undemocratic practices. The very strength that once united can become a tool for division and control. Additionally, the focus on strength and decisiveness can overshadow other important leadership qualities like empathy, integrity, and the ability to collaborate. This can lead to a narrow, sometimes harmful, definition of what effective leadership looks like. The preference for strong leaders also has broader implications for society. It shapes the type of candidates that rise to prominence and the policies they prioritize, potentially marginalizing more nuanced or collaborative approaches. This preference influences everything from who runs for office to how we discuss and engage with political issues. It can create a culture where might is right, and the loudest voice drowns out the rest. It also raises questions about our collective responsibility as voters. Are we enabling a system that values strength over substance? And what are the long-term consequences of that choice? As we reflect on these critiques and analyses, it's clear that the preference for strong leaders is a double-edged sword. It's up to us as informed citizens to navigate these complexities, balancing our desire for decisive leadership with the need for democratic principles and a diverse set of leadership qualities. Reflecting on leadership, as we conclude our journey through the American preference for strong leaders, we've explored its historical roots, psychological underpinnings, and the complex implications it holds for our future. We've seen that this preference is not just a political phenomenon, but a reflection of deeper human instincts and societal values. Understanding these preferences is crucial. It informs how we choose our leaders, the kind of society we build, and ultimately, the direction in which we move as a nation and as a global community. As we discovered, the strength we often seek in our leaders is multifaceted. and its impact is profound. In our quest for truth and understanding, it's essential to have platforms and voices that strive to uncover and share the realities of our world. This brings us to GeoLand, a channel dedicated to providing exclusive content with a deep commitment to sharing the truth. GeoLand is more than just a channel. It's a community of seekers and sharers, a place where anonymity allows for an unfiltered exploration of ideas and perspectives. In a world brimming with information, GeoLand stands out by delving into topics that matter, seeking to illuminate rather than obscure. Every view, every share, and every discussion contributes to this mission. By supporting GeoLand, you're not just watching content. You're participating in a movement towards greater understanding and truth. Your engagement helps the channel grow and improve, ensuring that the quest for knowledge continues. As we reflect on the nature of leadership and our role in shaping it, I encourage you to engage, share, and be part of the conversation. Visit GeoLand, contribute to the discourse, and help spread the knowledge. Together, we can ensure that the pursuit of truth and the quest for strong, responsible leadership go hand in hand. Thank you for joining me on this exploration. Remember, every share, every like, and every comment helps us grow and bring more insightful content to you. Until next time, keep seeking, keep sharing, and keep striving for a world where truth and leadership walk side by side.